Hello, I'm your host. On this episode of Exterior Forces, we will talk and discuss what is a medium. A medium could be a psychic or a person who receives information from the beyond. What constitutes a medium? Basically, the definition of a medium is what is transferred through. What is a medium is something that conducts or allows information or motion or energy to transfer through it. A medium could be almost anything. We look at mediums in almost everyday life. If we look at the air molecules around us, the air itself becomes a medium. It's a medium for sound and sound waves. So if I clap my hands, the air molecules compress and expand and create a medium in which sound can travel through. So this medium is all around us, actually. It stimulates our senses. So the medium can be several different things. It can be electromagnetic, it can be auditorial, it can be sensory, it can be almost anything that is declared a neutral force in which something is transferred through. So let's take air, for instance. Air is a naturally abundant medium, and we have noise pollution, we have music, and we have things that people would constitute as static, all the way to something that's pleasurable. The medium is basically neutral. It only transfers the energy through it at a certain distance or given wavelength. So even sound can be in decibels or in hertz, depending on how you want to determine the wavelength of sound. Now, sound is within itself three-dimensional, so it's transversing the air molecules in a three-dimensional matrix. And we've studied the science of sound, and we've known that this is true. And different pitches create different wavelengths or waveforms of sound and dynamic energy. My voice and the intonations of my voice are a wave packet comprised of the indentations and notations of my voice, the gait in which I speak, my range of musical notes in my voice or ranges of sound in my voice constitutes a wave packet. So every word that I'm speaking is a variation upon words themselves. And that makes the definition of the sound of the word. So there are many ways a medium actually works. But the basic idea of a medium is to transfer information or expression or knowledge. If we look at the arts of science and the arts side, you would talk to a painter, and a painter would say, my medium is paint. I'm a painter of paints. So I am expressing information through my painting, whether it be a portrait or an abstract. It's to design or collect data in the paint so it can be transcribed through the medium of paint into an expression. Stone is the same way to a sculptor and to other people. It could be mud, it could be whatever, and then they craft it from the medium of whatever they're transferring the information from. So there's 1,000 different mediums in our society or in our existence every day. The idea is what constitutes a medium. It's not generically what we think of some gypsy with the crystal ball trying to divine information. She becomes the medium because the information is passing through her as a generic definition of someone who is psychic or has psychic ability. So in many cases, we can become a medium with psychic ability to open ourselves up to different frequencies and different forms of information. Not all mediums are the same, and not all aptitudes or techniques are the same. If we look at the variety of mediums that are out there. We will see a vast array of many mediums. But the whole point about a medium, again, remains neutral. They only exist because the receiving or information is transferring through them. Let's take two walkie-talkies. If I have two walkie-talkies in my hands, and they're set, even though they're identical and they're set on two different channels, they can't really talk to each other because one cannot receive the information of the other walkie-talkie. They're just on two separate frequencies, and therefore they just cannot connect. The frequencies are there, the walkie-talkies are active, but they just don't communicate on that frequency. It's not that they're not receiving or they're not broadcasting. They're just not communicating on the same frequency. In many cases, they don't know that there are other frequencies out there. So let's say I have one walkie-talkie on channel 5 and another walkie-talkie on channel 22. They really cannot communicate because the frequencies do not communicate. They're not copacetic, even though the medium that they're transferring them through, our atmosphere and in sound or in electromagnetic waves that are converted into sound, they still just cannot connect. So you have to put both of them on channel 22 so that they both can communicate correctly in the media of electronics. So the medium and the signal become almost coherently the same. Now, the signal is electromagnetic wave, which is carried and then received, thrown and received by a device which is designed for that specific purpose. The medium is the air which is around us. The air, or we could be in space, and the walkie-talkies would still work. The medium is the electromagnetic signal that it is transmitting. And within the signal, embedded in that signal, is the information required. So walkie-talkie A has information, and walkie-talkie B, set on the same frequencies, will receive that information crystal clear. So we can up the media to cell phones. The same thing happens in cell phones, with microwaves being transmitted and then other cell phones receiving that transmission. So one cell phone is transmitting a microwave to a tower or satellite. The other one receives it. The median and the signal become simultaneously the same thing. It's the energy pulse from the phone or the walkie-talkie that is transmitted, and in that energy pulse is the signal of information. If you don't have the right telephone number or the right cell phone or the right receiver, or you're in just an area where there is no reception on your cell phone, then you will not be able to receive that information. Now, everything has a certain capability through electronics to receive signals, but the idea is it has to require a medium in order for those signals to be transmitted and received. If the medium did not exist, therefore, no communications could exist. Nothing could exist on the transmission side because it would just evaporate, and nothing could be received on the receiver side because the information just wouldn't arrive. Oddly enough, how we can test on whether or not there is an ability for certain objects around us to receive information as we transmit information is done through a test. And this is called a water test. You can take an average glass of water and you can think thoughts or write words and put these words around the water. The word transmits the information, the intent of what it is, into the water, no matter what language and no matter what the word is. So you could write hate on a piece of paper, tape it to water, and that water will change molecularly, as if there's a medium in which the water is receiving and responding to this word. Now, proteins in our bodies do the same thing. They receive certain signals, and through a medium. And therefore, the proteins respond to the DNA and tell the DNA to replicate. So if I cut myself and I need more cells to close the wound, proteins send signals to cells, and cells send signals to each other saying we need to replicate in order to close the wound and stop the bleeding. It's in our best interest for the cells to actually do that. And so they start signaling each other to rapidly send white blood cells to stop the infection and rapidly start reproducing. So they start creating the RNA and the DNA from the DNA, and they start making new cells, and the wounds close. The whole idea is that there has to be a medium for the transmission. So when ghost hunters go out and they get EVPs, electromagnetic voice phenomenon, or electromagnetic pulse phenomenon, there has to be a medium in order for those signals to transfer to and then be received on a device. So if I have a digital recorder or tape recorder and I am receiving voices, ambient, disembodied voices that should not really be there, there has to be a way that there is a medium that these things are transferred to, which then carries the signal to the recorder, and the recorder records it. It may not be in the magic of the electronics. It may be that there is a medium, like air, like energy, that is all around us, that is the medium for spirituality. Now, if we look at it this way, that means the volume and the medium for spirituality is consistently around us. And it is an energy matrix, just like the air that we breathe, like the air in this room. So how can we test this? If we can test that two walkie-talkies can talk to each other and two cell phones can talk to each other in the right conditions, on the right channels, then how can we test if spirituality actually exists and the medium for spirituality? Well, we define it by what is consciousness and what can receive such information. Dr. Emoto has prepared several scientific papers defining that water by itself in its typical molecular state can receive such ideas and impressions. We call them engrams, emotional communication, or like a telegram. But these are developed through an emotional basis, through words, an intent. And this intent defines a transmission through a medium into the water, and the water changes its crystalline structure. So when we say that snowflakes, there's no two snowflakes identical, there may be a message within each snowflake that we're just totally unaware of, because each one is slightly different. Now, people will say water at certain temperatures will take on certain crystalline structures because of its altitude or its freezing point. So where it freezes in the atmosphere is how the snowflake will form. Or is it something else? Is it something that's intended to communicate to us or to the earth? And we have to decide on what we're really communicating about and what we're communicating with. If we're communicating with emotions, with engrams, then these engrams can attach themselves to everything and imprint upon everything that we encounter. Not only each other by the tone and the attitude of our voice, but by our language and our intent. So if our intent is love, the water will receive that information and change into a loving crystal, its crystalline shape, when you freeze it. If you say hate, then the same thing will occur to the water. Dr. Emito went even further. He decided to take rice, boiled in water, and then after it's boiled, you take it from the container and separate it into two separate containers of equal amounts. And on one of them you write, "Thank you for your nutrition," or "Thank you." The other one you write, "I hate you," and "Rice is not nutritious." And you put them on the shelf. And many people have done this. You'll see an example of this. And they have witnessed that the rice that says "thank you" on it preserves itself automatically. In a loving, nurturing way, it maintains edibility. The one that you say, "I hate you," or "you don't have any nutritional value for me," becomes moldy and putrid. The concept is, it could be, all in all, the intent of our emotions, which change the complex structures from a molecular protein level in our bodies all the way through to the water that's also in our bodies, to then everything else around us.
Today is March 27th, 2008, so because this year was a leap year, it's exactly 30 days from the day that we started our experiment. I think it's an hour ahead, but really not a huge deal. We did plan on videotaping every 5 days, but then we realized that that really wasn't necessary because the results would speak for themselves. Hence we have 30-day-old rice that says "thank you" on it. Perfectly white. It's not even yellow, I don't think. What do you think? It's white.
Looks good.
And then we have the yucky "you fool" rotted jar that makes me want to vomit looking at it. It's like stuck in there. Look at that. Oh, I'm so not cleaning that up. Okay, that's disgusting. And these were done on the same exact day, and we just spoke to them at least once a day, and these are the results of the words that we spoke to them: "Thank you" and "you fool." And really, it's amazing, and it's been a great experience doing this because anybody who's come into our home has wanted to know what this is and why it's doing this, and we've been able to explain nice flourish on her. I can't say his name, I'm sorry. Masaru Emoto's experiment, and have become really interested, and other people are doing this experiment, and I hope that our efforts with this rice experiment has brought more knowledge and more people will be willing to try it and think about the words that they use in daily life, as simple as "thank you" and "you fool," which nobody can really say thank you enough. So we're considering possibly trying this again with other words just to see the difference, and it's really disgusting. So thank you.
People talk of electromagnetic auras emanating from the human body, an aura field of electromagnetic biological energy that's moving around our bodies, keeping us healthy. The Chinese call this qi, the qi force. The qi force is the true force of health and vitality through the body, through certain special exercises, or even acupuncture points, which increase longevity. This qi, this electromagnetic system that's in all of us, may also be influenced by the intent of our thoughts. So we have to decide, are we going to love today? Is our intention love? Or is our intention hate? Or is our intention neutral? We decide, and how we decide affects our entire reality. We can dent our reality just by the basic concepts of emotions, the basic concepts of a spiritual medium which has not quite been discovered, but we are noticing the effects of. In these cases, we can dent our reality. Many people say we can completely change our reality. But we first have to find deep down within inside of us the intent on what we will do with our reality. This is an external force that's all around us on a constant level. It's so dynamic of a force, it's such a strong force, that even below the quarks and molecules of our own reality, there are energies that science just cannot find or understand. But they know theoretically that they exist. In each endeavor, we come closer to finding the exterior forces that surround us all and influence our lives. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Lynch, and I want to thank you for watching